Welcome to Listen Bitch Presents Tell Me Why You're Special. This is the arena where we don't just talk about success, we talk about truth. Because the truth is, most people never consciously choose their lives, they inherit them beliefs, rules, expectations, fears, roles, and they spend decades trying to become who they think they're supposed to be without ever asking who they actually are. And the scary part is that sometimes the prison isn't obvious. Sometimes it's approval, sometimes it's belonging, it can even be success. And sometimes it's being the good girl who never questions the script. God did not create you to become a copy of everyone else's expectations. He created you with purpose. And eventually, every person reaches a moment where they must decide, will I continue performing or will I finally become? Today, we're going to talk about identity, conditioning, self worth, reinvention, belonging, and the courage it takes to tell yourself the truth. Today's guest is Lauretta Zucchetti. She is a speaker, author, former Apple and Xerox leader, and someone whose life journey spans continents, reinvention, and the relentless pursuit of becoming who she was truly meant to be. Lauretta, thank you so much for coming into the hot seat today. When you look back at the younger version of you, what is the very first belief about yourself that wasn't actually true, but you believed it anyway?
Well, thank you for, first of all, for having me on your
Of
show. And the
course.
way you described what your show is about made me feel so that I belong so much here. And I really appreciate the invitation and um, and also the question. Um, when I was younger, I succeeded in so many ways, even when it came to survival alone, because I always felt that what was either presented to me or imposed on me wasn't my life. And it wasn't aligned with who I was. So I either tried to escape, literally. My first attempt at escaping was at 5 years old.
Oh,
I was in a foster home, so I escaped a number of times. Or I tried to succeed by in areas, well, like my career. Like when I left Italy to come to the States, I was 20, and I said, no way, I'm just going to be what they think I should be, you know. And I succeeded very much so in sales, in at Xerox and Apple, in other roles, manager, and traveling the world, and that was a way to say, hey, you know, but not just to the world, but to myself, and finding, honing, and researching a lot more about myself. I was still in survival mode, if you will, because when you go through trauma, it takes a long time to unravel all that and to
yes.
find the path of, let's say, least resistance from a nervous system point of view.
Hmm.
And you know, and I continued on that vein, even though things kept happening, because life always throws wrenches at you, and you just go, whoa, I just got hit again. Oh, let's get up and keep going. And anyway, so I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, no, you absolutely did. And I spent some years in Proctor Care, so I know all about the running. I had the running feet, and
Yeah.
I feel like it's always my go-to to run from all the
Yeah.
things. Like
Yeah.
that's kind of been the go-to, and it's only been recently, Loretta, that life kind of was like, here's a situation that you absolutely can't run from. Now what are you going to do? Like it was
Mhm.
very recent, and
Mhm.
thank God I worked on my nervous system before this hit me, because I think I would have crumbled. I wasn't, it was a hard place to navigate. So I feel that, and I think a lot of people cannot relate to that, to having the running feet, not from the same perspective. But growing
Yeah.
up, what messages about women were handed to you before you even had the capacity to question them?
Well, one that really never left me, or left me um, rationally, but then emotionally, but was with me for a long time, was the one that my grandmother taught me, which was, if you say no to a man, they'll turn around and find another one.
Yes.
And what happened, and that was really a curse,
Mm-hmm.
because when I found myself parentless, I could say no. I couldn't say no to guys who approach me because I was like, oh my God, I can't lose this person because then he's going to find someone else and I'll be
Yeah.
alone. And that took away the power to decide who I wanted and who I was as a consequence. That was terrible, It was like the Cinderella, Snow White
Yeah.
kind of fable. So that was a strong belief.
Did you
And grow,
find your Oh yeah, go ahead.
yeah, go ahead. No, you go ahead.
Did you find yourself in that space of not being able to say no? Because gosh, I kind of had the similar stuff. I ended up like becoming who I would think that person would want me to be because I couldn't lose them. And so I was never myself.
Yeah, in the relationships arena, I did, unfortunately. I ended up marrying twice and married the wrong people twice. And then it was like, why am I leaving this person? He's great, but it just wasn't the right person. And
Yeah.
I had to leave, and it was horrible, I, but I didn't know myself well enough to understand why I was leaving. I just knew I had to leave. It was like, but I married him because I thought, oh my God, he's going to leave me, and then what do I do? It was like, but that also comes from not having proper parenting, not
Sure.
having, a proper family. So it's intersectionality at
Yes.
work.
Yes. Well, I mean, explain to the listeners how childhood conditioning really does quietly shape our adult relationships.
Well, it's neurologically speaking, we don't have the tools. The brain is not formed enough for us to connect. Okay, if this happens, you know, um, you're going to feel and react this way. Therefore, you have a choice. If someone, let's say, quote unquote, rapes you at 12,
Yeah.
then what you do is you feel guilty and horrible about yourself, and you
Sure.
feel like everything is your fault, but it's not, right? You're being
Yeah.
overpowered. And that shapes how you see men in the future, because that is part of your early heritage without you knowing or understanding it. Or if you get beaten or hit as a child with growing up, that's another part of not understanding it, and yet feeling like you're so terribly wrong because you did something horrific. And maybe all you did was, you know, forget forget to tell your caretaker that you were leaving for 5 minutes, something stupid. And in the old days they used to just hit you all the
Right.
time.
Mm-hmm.
So and so and then you grow up in a Catholic country like I did, so guilt is like everything.
Everything.
So for me to walk out of that and go, I'm such a powerful person, took a lot of effort. And the only way I could do it was to show it in business and in a country where I wasn't just a pretty woman. I was an intelligent, capable person where I could bring home numbers like I did.
Yeah. No, I see that. And you come and you have this success. Is there a point when you're getting the success that you realize that it doesn't automatically create the self-worth?
Yes, I'm glad you say that. There was a specific moment where I went, oh my God, this is not it. I trained many of the managers of Apple in South America in Spanish and French, and they were all so happy. But then they all went home to their families. And I was like, oh my God. I mean, I did well, and yet here I am, still feeling lonely, still feeling
Empty.
like I don't really matter, you know? And that's when I realized this is not it. This is not the work.
Yeah.
Succeeding on the outside doesn't give you what you're missing on the inside.
Yeah, I agree with that. And the sad thing is I see so many successful women really struggle with that feeling of not enough.
Hmm.
It's kind of everywhere. Um
Everywhere,
what
everywhere.
yeah. What does self-betrayal, Loretta, what does that look like kind of in everyday life? Because you've adapted and you've been through that process of just kind of abandoning yourself. Um, so what does this look like in everyday life?
I can talk specifics. In my case, it was subscribing to the idea that I had to follow the agenda of a man who wasn't my agenda really, and subscribe to this crazy, crazy work schedule, and also put to sleep all of my needs, all of them, from getting a coffee to, going out for 10 minutes to anything, because there was a toddler to raise. I was pregnant with another, whom I ended up losing at birth.
Oh,
So I had to, and working full time and managing a big house. And that was being disloyal to myself, because I lost my baby also because I was doing too much for others, not enough for myself.
yeah.
And I betrayed my sense of who I was and the ability to love myself. And I see this also in someone very close to me, whom I can't mention, where the societal way of being is more important than what needs to happen behind closed doors. And it kills me, because that's, you know, there is a spiritual part and then there is a physical part. The spiritual part is real, and we're here to learn and
Mm,
to make inroads. And it will take us so much farther if we just stay in that realm and continue to persevere there, as opposed to try to impress others, have money, even though we have plenty, look good at all costs,
mm-hmm.
all those things that are so volatile and so not real, or substantial.
Yeah. It's just us collecting that external. We think it brings value. It's not, and you paid like an incredible price. So I can't imagine how much it breaks your heart to watch other people have to go through that lesson. But I think, Loretta, the fact that you're having these conversations and you're talking about this, you will reach the right people to where they don't have to go so far and pay such a price for, coming back here. And I just want to celebrate you for a second, because going through that experience, especially child loss, and feeling the weight of that, and knowing that you had betrayed yourself the whole time, that right there would take a normal person out, and that's it. They're going to be the victim forever. They're just stuck. I've seen it happen to even people that I love. Um, and I think what's incredible is that you're here and you're having
Thank you.
these conversations and this awareness, and that I just that is God moving through your life. And I tell people on the show, okay, I say it in every episode, your mess is your message. And this is how we launch you to greatness. We take the worst pain imaginable. And I think you just told me what yours was. And I think that's even worse than like our parents failing us,
Oh yeah,
So going through
definitely.
that, and being able to come out of that with a purpose, and you have this mission of showing people that we're here for the human experience. We're not here to collect a bunch of cars and fancy houses and,
Hmm.
go broke on Botox because everybody's doing it. Um, you know, Genuinely, we're here for the human experience, to have incredible
Thank
conversations like
you.
this
Thank you.
and help other people. And I just think the message of this is
Thank you.
just
Well, that instance is what broke me, in the sense that at that point I decided I wasn't going to follow the written agenda that was laid out for me. I quit my job and I went back to school for a degree in women's studies, where I learned why so many women defer their own agenda for
yeah,
others. And then I got a master in transpersonal psychology, which is really the psychology behind the scenes, spiritual and creative psychology. And that's where when I learned the spirituality part, which is
yeah,
has been so incredibly helpful, because I know that everything was for a reason and is for a reason that is beyond our complete
understanding.
understanding.
Yeah. I love that. Well, what did you learn? Why are women just setting themselves to the side and spending years just trying to earn this approval?
Well, it, Brandon, it goes back to history, you know. Unfortunately, there were centuries ago, women were the matrons of societies, you know,
Yeah.
and things. There were no wars because women traits are inherently about cooperations and compassion and
Yeah.
but men. I mean, think of the Vikings. They came down and say, "Oh, I'm stronger than you. I'm gonna," and it
Yeah.
became okay to possess a species. You know, it became okay to rape the earth and e- to kill animals in a barbarous way. Everything
Yeah.
became okay, and for women being weaker in some sense, you know, you still see it in some
Mm-hmm.
countries where women are just reduced to nothing because they don't have the strength, literally the strength to
Yeah.
oppose it. And they, in some cases, they buy into it because it's easier than just fight it. And it's called the patriarchal
Yeah.
concepts of society, which is changing, by the way. I I listen to a lot of podcasts on the future of what's going to happen, and we are
Mm-hmm.
in an age of awakening. We're entering the fifth dimension, and it's the age of love. And within 50 years, it won't be like that anymore. It will
Yeah.
be about cooperating and
I mean, I
but
think it's so wild because here in the States, like I think so many women just have no clue how blessed we are to be here because people don't understand in real life in other countries like it's the truth like women can't go to school, they can't get the education, they can't show their face, they can't drive, they can't just go for a walk for fun. Everything, they are under the rule of thumb, and you're absolutely right. They can't fight that because the price of fighting is death.
yeah,
Like that,
yeah,
it's wild to me that we're sitting here on a Zoom call,
talking
with the
about it,
freedom, yeah, talking about this, and there's actually women out there right now that have, you know, no hope right now, and I can't
right,
imagine what that's like, and I think that should empower us to want to step into our own light and our own potential even more. Like let's live for the women who can't. Let's
right,
stand up for ourselves because there's someone out there that really can't. Like you're
absolutely,
it's very safe for me to have a podcast and I could talk about whatever I want and nothing's going to happen to me. These people can't even have a social media account. They don't have a
oh,
cell phone. They can't just call their sister when they want. Like it's wild. The contrast is so wild, and we're blessed beyond measure to
right.
to be here, and I just think it's heartbreaking. I'm so passionate about people just stepping into their potential and creating a story out of their mess, the thing that hurt them,
Hmm.
you know?
Hmm.
So that's how we help each other. The
Yeah,
human
that's
experience, yeah, it's about
yeah,
us helping each other, and we got to stop sitting on our potential. There's so many women right now that I just want to shake and like wake
yeah.
up. You have a great opportunity. Take it.
We're still buying into the idea of making money is the way to be important and to be someone, and
Yeah.
it's a self-defeating purpose because
Yeah.
I mean just the fact that working for a corporation in America takes your soul away, you know.
Yeah.
You just have no time off, you have no time to raise your children. It's very, very but it's so different from countries which are more developed, if you
Yeah.
will, you know, and where you can actually have a life and work.
Yeah.
And women are, oh my God, you know, in the Vedic science, which I've studied,
Yeah.
the 8,000 year scriptures, it says to be born a woman, you need so many more lives under your belt.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. And, I it's easy for me to say like we make a lot of sacrifices. I am a stay-at-home mom. I'm not chasing the career, the figures, or, the status. I thought once upon a time I thought that was it. Um and as dreams came true, like I was getting more depressed. And like, this doesn't change anything. I wanted to be a writer my whole life. I published my first book. I felt worse than I ever had in my whole life because everywhere I go, there I am. And just unplugging from everything, being able
Mm-hmm.
to have a show where I get to have great conversations every day. I homeschool my kids. Um, I, this is it for like, this is, there is joy, there is peace, there is happiness, there is, that emotional regulation and
Mm-hmm.
not even
And what,
reactive anymore because I'm not in the rat race.
yeah, and what you do, and by the way, this is one of the episodes which I will publish because it's very, very concrete. And I really appreciate talking to you. So you're doing something very useful,
Thank you.
very
Yeah.
useful.
Well, I think it's great. I'm blessed for people like you to say yes and come and share your story.
Oh, 100%.
You built your life multiple times over and over. What does
Yeah.
reinvention teach you about identity?
Um, that you can be what you want. You can be absolutely who you want because there is something as quantum physics, which I discovered by chance when I was on complete survival mode when I left my first husband and he cut me out from all the credit cards and I was basically on my own with no penny to spend and homeless. And all of a sudden, I was like, "Oh my God, what am I gonna do?" And literally crying. And so I walked into a church. I'm not religious, but there was a church there, and I was like, my eyes were this swollen from crying. And this idea came to me, which was to call on, the VP of international marketing at Apple. I knew the name, and I did. And boom, 2 days later, I was there talking to him, and they had a need, and I uncovered it. And I was on a plane traveling the world for 6 months with a huge budget. But that was quantum physics at its best. There was a need, there was an identity, they didn't know where to go, and they got together. Now, how did they achieve that? I don't know, but I do know now that if you just let things go and relax, things happen. And if you follow the breadcrumb, and if we really, really stay the course, we can make things happen and no
Yeah.
matter what, and then we reinvent ourselves in the new space, in the new place, in the new situation.
Yeah. And I think people don't understand because I find it exciting. I've reinvented myself like every other month for like 3 years,
Go for
and
you, go for
exactly.
you.
And a lot of people like feel that fear and they don't. They stop. And I've it's easy to realize if you guys really sat with your body and you thought about what it feels like to be afraid in your body and then you think about what excitement feels like in your body, it's literally the same feeling. It's the exact same feeling that I
Yeah,
get when I'm afraid or when I'm excited. And so if you just flip
right,
that script, and now I'm like, this is so exciting because I could literally become anyone. I could become
right,
anyone.
right,
And
right,
and it's very, it could be overwhelming, but it's literally right, Loretta, it's the next right step. Like
right.
if I want to be someone, I'm working on my health and fitness. So what are my habits? Very unsexy. It's not cool. I eat the same stuff every day. I lift heavy weights. Not
Hmm.
cool, but I know if I'm going to be the fit, healthy person, that's the
You need,
simple,
you need to
simple
do it.
one decision I make. And
Right,
the fact I eat the same thing, I don't have to overthink my food, right? It's very simple. I take a lot of decisions out of the equation. It's just boom, boom, not even a decision anymore. It's just what we
do
do.
it.
And it's the same thing for anything you want to change in your life. It's just that one thing. You get to be who you want to be. I want
Right,
to ask you,
yeah.
with our conversation, because we kind of talked about how you went through that process of self-betrayal. So I
Hmm.
want to come to the opposite end of the spectrum towards the end of the show here. What does self-loyalty actually look like for you now on the healing side of this process?
It continues to be challenging
Yeah.
because there are external situations that cause me to either feel guilty, which I don't, but I do. Like I have a daughter who is pregnant with her second child, and I feel like I'm not doing enough for her, I should be spending more time here with her where I'm now, or what have you. Um, and and other situations, where I think, okay, I'm growing older. Can I do it? Is anyone going to look at the fact that maybe I have a few wrinkles here and there? It is challenging. It is
Hmm.
challenging, but I have a tremendous amount of faith in the fact that being loyal to ourselves is the only way to be, and that there is a God and there is a universe helping us in that direction. So I'm here for a purpose, and my purpose is just that. Otherwise, I would not have had such a life, and that is to help others. So what am I going to do? Just go shopping for,
Right.
ding dong and that's it? No, I'm going to have to. And so I'm doing it. So I every day I come to the same conclusion, and I read a lot of material on this subject, which helped me stay the course.
Yeah. I love that. What would you say to someone listening right now who might feel successful on paper, but they feel deeply misaligned inside? What would your advice be to them today?
That they're on the wrong path, definitely. That even though I was making close to 200,000 at Apple, and I knew I was at that point I was on the wrong path, and I quit. Not easy to do, but I did. That they need to re-examine everything and let go until they get to the bottom of who they are and why they're doing what they're doing, and explore other. And it's not about new jobs or, but really stay with yourself in a place of meditation, if you will.
Yeah.
Meditation could be being home alone in quiet moments, feeling what
Yeah.
what is that I really, really wish for myself going forward, and listening to the signals, to the guides that we have. We all have guides that we can. What do we want to do? How do we want to help transform our lives and that of others? Because if we stay in that place, we're never going to find it.
No.
And watching Netflix helps a little bit to distract ourselves, or going shopping, or, you know, or having a drink, or seeing a friend. But it's the same old, same old. It doesn't, at the end of the
That's
day,
it.
you've got to face the music.
Hmm. I love you for speaking the truth like that because people need to hear that. Just for fun, I didn't mention this, but I read in your bio that you speak four languages.
Yes,
That's
I do.
incredible. So we'll give you
Ah,
props for that on this show.
thank
Um,
you.
just a fun question before we tell people
Yeah.
how to get resource with you. If you want to sound the most intimidating, what language would you use to speak?
Oh, well, I wish I spoke German because that's the most
Oh my
intimidating.
gosh, isn't it though? Yes.
It was offered to me to learn in school, and even later I said, no, thank you.
Yeah.
I don't think I could.
Yeah.
I mean, probably French.
Yeah.
French is
Okay.
very, you know,
It can sound
but
the most angry, huh? The most aggressive, like demanding would be French.
no, no, actually, no, maybe
Yeah.
Spanish. Spanish.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's it. Nothing's
Spanish. Yeah.
gonna top German though. I think you're right. I think I could tell my kids good morning and in German and they're gonna be horrified. They're like,
Yeah.
what is she saying to us?
Guten Morning. Like,
Yeah.
who are you? I had a boyfriend who was German. He was talking to me in German and said, I'm sorry, honey, I love you, but I can't see
Yeah.
you
We
anymore.
we can't do this. You're keeping my nervous system on high alert.
No, exactly.
That's so funny. I think you're so great. How can people get resourced with you? How can they find you? Where can they follow
Thank you.
you?
Well, I have a website, which is laurettazucchetti.com. Then I'm actually putting together a lot of stuff for social media, and an offer to work with people. But my aim is to have a podcast like you, and also do public speaking. And I'm a candidate for a TEDx talk too. Soon that's going to happen. And also my email, laurettazucchetti@gmail.com.
Perfect. I'll make sure
Thank,
that's linked in the show notes.
thank
Um,
you.
Loretta, this is the part of the show where, for what it's worth, I get to tell you what I think makes you special. And it's not the corporate success. That's great. It's not moving across continents, although that is great as well. It's not even the speaking multiple languages, though that's badass. It's that
But
it's that you became willing to question the story
thank
about who you were, the story about what women should be, the story about worthiness and the story about belonging. Instead of continuing to live by the inherited rules, you chose awareness and you chose to seek the truth and you chose your authenticity. And now
thank
the fact that you're helping others realize that the life they want is waiting for permission. It's not waiting for permission, it's waiting for the courage, just the
thank
courage. And
thank
I know you're going to have a powerful impact on the women who need you the most. And I think it's powerful and I think it makes you special. And to everyone listening, just ask yourself a really hard question. How much of your life was chosen? How much was inherited? Because awareness is what changes everything. The moment you can see the story, you can
right.
stop living inside of it. God did not create you to spend your life earning love or earning worth or earning belonging.
Mm-hmm.
You were born
Mm-hmm.
with that. You're created with
Mm-hmm.
value already. So please just get honest with yourself. And you guys, your mess is your message. Even the
Right.
conditioning, even the shitty childhood, even the hurtful moments in our life, the self doubt, the years you spent becoming what everyone else wants you to be, that stuff right there is the doorway back to yourself. If this
Right.
episode spoke to you, please share it out. Let's get Loretta's message out there. Let's share her story.
Thank
There's
you.
someone that you know that needs to get resourced with her that we can't reach. So it's a very selfless act to just share it out. Make sure you check the show notes for her link and her email. And if you guys are ready for the hot seat, I dare you to come tell me why you're special. Loretta, this was this was such a gift. I think you're amazing and thank you for the work you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.